This is going to be really fun and scary. Fun scary. I've done so many urban legend videos now I can't even count, and you know what makes some better than others? If there's actually some truth to them. Suddenly it's not just a silly made up story, it's something that could be true, and that doubt, that slight bit of uncertainty, well, I think that makes them even scarier. These are 10 of the very best. My name is Danny Burke, and this is the top 10 urban legends that are actually true. Starting off number 10 now, we have Cropsey. Some of you guys may have heard me talk about this one before. It's the story of the boogeyman of Staten Island. He was rumored to be a homicidal maniac who escaped from a mental asylum. He would hunt for children and drag them back to the ruins of a hospital where he lived. Witnesses always said that he had a hook for a hand. These stories were meant to scare kids, perhaps even told to them by their own parents who wanted them to be more wary of strangers. Then, in 1972, the boogeyman became real. News broke of a real-life corpsey man called Andre Rand. He was a former janitor at the local school for mentally disabled children. Rand was arrested in connection with the disappearance of Jennifer Schweiger, a 12-year-old girl with Down syndrome. He lost his job over the case and moved into the now abandoned school that he used to work in. He was eventually convicted of murder, and police connected him to the disappearance of 4 other children. No bodies were ever recovered. Moving on now to number 9, guys, we have the Bunny Man. I talked about this legend in my West Virginia video, if you remember. The story goes that in 1904 a mental asylum closed down. While transferring inmates to a new facility, one of the buses crashed. Most of the people in it were killed or captured trying to escape, but one actually did escape, known as the Bunny Man. He would then roam the land, hunting rabbits and then leaving their half-eaten carcasses for the locals to find. Sometimes they will be hanging from a tree or a bridge. Although there are parts of the story that just don't add up, something strange happened in 1970. A couple driving their car at night had an axe thrown through their window by a man in a bunny suit. 2 weeks later, another man found an axe-wielding guy in a bunny suit chopping wood nearby who was gone by the time police arrived. Are these linked together somehow? Is there more truth to this than meets the eye? Moving on now to number 8, we have the body under the bed. Ever since hotels and motels have become a common part of society, people have swapped stories about guests who discovered that the mattress they were sleeping on was either above or even stuffed with the body of a murder victim. A grisly tale for sure, but one that was confined to the realms of myths and legend. Then, in 1999, a case in Colorado occurred involving a couple who slept on a mattress containing a body. The police kept the details of that close to their chest, but in 2010 a huge story broke when guests at a Memphis motel discovered they had been sleeping above the body of Sony Millbrook, a missing person at the time. Her boyfriend, Lakeith Moody, was convicted of the crime. Many people were horrified and vowed to give their hotel beds a closer inspection next time. Next up at number 7 now, guys, we have the Maine Robber. That's M-A-I-N-E. The state. For many years, visitors to Maine's North Pond have reported that something strange was going on there. Time after time, people reported that things were going missing. Not just one person, one time, many people, many times. Batteries and food would vanish from cabins, while flashlights just disappeared from camping tents. People thought either the earth itself was swallowing it all up, or there was a thief at work. It turns out they were right about that. In 2013, a game warden discovered Christopher Knight living alone in the woods. For 27 years, this man had been there watching hikers, canoeists and other visitors to the area. When taken in for questioning, Knight admitted that he was responsible for around 40 robberies a year. I mean, stealing batteries is one thing, but I feel like if you were being watched all those years and then you were proven right about it, that would be even creepier. At the number 6 spot now, we have the Falling Lawyer. Now, I've lived in Toronto for quite a few years now, and I've personally heard this story floating around the place, but I never thought it was actually true until now. They say that years ago there was a lawyer who loved to show off how strong his office windows were in his building that overlooked the city. Every time someone came to visit, he would take a long run up, jump, and hurl himself right into the window. Sure enough, the window would remain intact, although we'll never know if this actually impressed his visitors. Well, this lawyer was real, and his name was Gary Hoy. He was a senior partner at his firm with an office on the 24th floor. On July 9th, 1993, some law students came to visit. He took his usual leap at the window, but this time, after years of it being weakened, it smashed. Gary plummeted to his death, and the improbable story became somewhat of a local legend. Next up at number 5 now, we have the Puebla's secrets. For many years, longer than people can even remember, the people of Puebla in Mexico have talked about the tunnels. Secret tunnels that were built under their city by the Spanish conquistadors in the 1500s. It's been almost half a millennia since then, and the stories became legend. People looked for them, but they found nothing. The tunnels became a myth, something to scare the kids into believing there was a dark maze of caverns beneath them. In 2014, construction workers were in the middle of an urban remodeling project when they stumbled upon an old tunnel. Surely the legends weren't true. The Puebla History Center took over the site to investigate, and yes, it was the fabled tunnels people had spoken about. They determined the tunnels were built in 1531, right after the city was founded. Members of the Catholic Church supposedly used the tunnels to transport treasure and other property in and out of the city without people knowing about it. Part of the tunnels are now open to the public, giving you the chance to walk through the dark halls of an urban legend that came true. Coming in number 4 now, guys, we have the alligators. I definitely talked about this one in our New York urban legends video. Many years ago in New York, people would say that there were alligators in the sewers below the city. They said a young boy once flushed his pet alligator down the toilet. Years later, he reached into the sewer grate to retrieve a lost baseball. At that moment, a fully grown alligator leapt up from below and ripped his arm clean off. The same alligator he had flushed away. Many people dismissed the whole story. Alligators, New York, crazy. However, in 1959, Teddy May, the commissioner of New York during the time of these rumors, wrote about the alligators in his tell-all book. He said that he and his inspectors did find alligators in the New York sewers in 1935. They were up to 2 feet in size. It took 2 years for them to clear them all out, more than enough time for the facts to get blurred with fiction. Moving on to number 3 now, we have the dog boy. For many people in Arkansas, they know the stories of the dog boy. Kids swap tales of a werewolf-like man who roams around the town of Quitman. Some even say they've seen him. Many of them might not know that the story is somewhat based in real life. Gerald Bettis was born in Quitman in 1954. By the time he was a young boy, the neighbors were already calling him evil. They said he liked to capture stray animals and torture them in twisted experiments. As he got older, he turned on his parents, tormenting them until, at the age of 27, his dead father was found in his home. The newspapers said it was illness, but others said it was murder. Bettis then kept his mother in the house until she was finally taken away and placed in protective custody. His mother testified against him, and he was given life in prison, where he died a few years later. They say that his spirit still haunts that house and that he's often seen roaming the area as a ghost on all fours with shaggy hair like a dog. At the number 2 spot now, guys, we have Charlie No Face. Some of you may have heard me talk about this one in my Pennsylvanian video. Charlie No Face is the story of a boy called Charlie who once got electrocuted while climbing on an electric pole to try and see into a bird's nest. He was horrifically disfigured. His face had practically melted off. Eyes, nose, mouth, one of his ears and one of his arms all completely gone. It also turned his skin a sickly green. Somehow he survived and lived out his life in a small town, rarely showing his face to the other locals. People would share the story of Charlie No Face, but because nobody saw him, the story became nothing more than an urban legend. But it wasn't. The story was actually true, all except for the name. Charlie's real name was Raymond Robinson. He was friendly to people whenever they saw him, and he wasn't responsible for the many hauntings that became associated with the legend. And finally, number 1 now, we have Polybius. You may remember this from my video game Urban Legends video. Polybius was the name of an arcade game which kids in Portland got addicted to in 1981. Whenever they were forced off it, they felt nauseous, stressed, or even had seizures. Some people noticed the game was being serviced a lot more than usual. Instead of once a month, Polybius was being checked by men in black suits every single week. They would copy its hard drive, leave all of the money, and then be gone until the next week. People believed they were from the CIA, and that Polybius was all part of a mind control program that sent subliminal messages to its players. While a lot of this is debatable, there really was a kid who got sick during an arcade marathon contest in Portland in 1981. A few days after that, federal agents really did seize a load of arcade cabinets. They said it was all part of a major gambling bust. This is where people tend to differ in opinion. Some say that the story of Polybius was inspired by the events, others say the events are proof of the story. Urban legends and truth. Together they make something better than either of them, I think. Is this the start of a new series? Shall we look at more creepy urban legends that have their stories rooted in true events, or shall we just keep doing our world tour of urban legends? Is this going to split the viewers in half? We'll find out in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always, guys. My name is Danny Burke, and I will see you all in the next video.
There are tons, and I mean tons, of urban legends out there. However, most of them are pretty old. Back in the day when people didn't have access to the internet, those legends were shared by word of mouth or by letters in the mail. Like, can you imagine writing a letter like that? Like, "Dear Janet, hope the kids are well. I just received a letter from Bertha and you won't believe what she told me. A hitchhiker is on the loose." Well, times have definitely changed. Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I'm your host, Lindsay Ivan, and today I'm bringing you the top 10 scary urban legends from 2020. Starting off this countdown, we have the witching hour. So, legends about the witching hour aren't that new, but this particular one that I'm about to share with you is. For those of you who don't know, the witching hour is from 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. Apparently during this time, the realm between the spiritual world and our world becomes thin, making it easier for ghosts and spirits and demons to cross over. And I'm pretty sure you've seen people posting those 3 a.m. challenges where they wake up at 3 a.m. and then try to contact spirits. But there's a new legend surrounding this. Legend goes that if you naturally wake up at 3 a.m., it's because a spirit is present in your room and has woken you up. It is then said if you are woken up that whatever you do not stare into a dark mirror. Apparently if you do so, then the spirit will possess you and then basically you'll trade spots. So the spirit can control your body and your soul gets trapped into the spirit world. So I guess I'm removing all the mirrors from my room now. In our ninth spot, we have the chain letters. So chain letters are old news. They've been terrorizing people for decades. Usually people receive an email or social media message or even a text message with one. But now there's a new form of a chain letter that's been going around. So since everyone has to stay at home, children are now doing their schooling online. Well, a chainmail is being circulated over a chat platform that is being used for their online school. The chainmail talks about a 17-year-old kid named Carmen Winstead. It says that she died after a group of girls pushed her down a sewer hole trying to embarrass her. She was found with her neck broken and her face torn off. You then have to send this message to 15 people or else Carmen will get you. The message goes on to say that a kid named David ignored the message and was found dead the next morning. There was a message on his wall written in blood that said, "You will never have him back." Okay, that's pretty creepy if you ask me. In our eighth spot, we have the mirrors. So a couple of years ago, I heard this urban legend about mirrors. Basically, it says how you're never supposed to have two mirrors facing each other in a dark place. Apparently, it creates like a portal for spirits to get into our world. But now, there's a new version of this legend. Apparently, not only spirits can get into our world, but it's said that you should never stand in the middle between these two facing mirrors. Apparently, people have done this and have claimed that they felt like someone has grabbed them. Others claim that they were dragged back and slammed into the mirror, causing it to shatter. In our seventh spot, we have the Grey Lady of Westwick. Apparently, in the township of Westwick in England, there's a legend surrounding a Grey Lady. It is said that if you drive down the forest road after midnight, then you may encounter her. She's described as an old witch that can change her appearance. If you see her in her witch form, then she's described as an old lady with yellow rotting teeth and she wears all gray. Others claim that she's a vampire and not a witch. One thing that's for sure is that she seeks vengeance on men that have wronged women. So she can shapeshift into attractive women to try and lure men. Once you're trapped by her, she will kill you and then feast on you. Making our way down the list at number 6, we have the Zoom calls. So with everyone staying at home, one way people are staying connected is by video calls. Typically, people are using this website called Zoom. In fact, they have had a huge influx of people using their services. But now there's an urban legend going around about cyber spies that are hacking into your Zoom calls and stealing your information. Although Zoom claims to be secure, people still believe that these hackers are stealing your data and then selling it to other parties. Especially now since companies are doing all their meetings online. They could be releasing very valuable information. Other people claim that it's the government that's collecting the information. As a result of this legend, people have been warned that you should not talk about sensitive information over Zoom. Instead, just keep it strictly to friendly banter. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the Union Cemetery. Union Cemetery is located in Easton, Connecticut. It is said to be one of the most haunted cemeteries in the United States. Apparently, a ghost that they refer to as the White Lady haunts this cemetery. In fact, even Ed and Lorraine Warren have said to have seen this ghost and even have video footage of it. Like, I really want to see that. Anyways, the legend of the White Lady is not a new one, but apparently there have been recent sightings of a new ghost that lurks this cemetery. This one is of a mother that passed away shortly after delivering her baby. Legend goes that if you visit the cemetery at night, you can see the shadow of the woman roaming around, trying to find her baby. Moving on to number 4, we have the Moore Park Ravine. Here in Toronto, there's a ravine known as Moore Park Ravine. Now, I've never been, but apparently it's haunted. So legend goes that it's haunted by a worker that was killed while doing maintenance of the trail. After a bad lightning storm, the ravine had a couple of fallen down trees blocking the trail. As a result, the man was moving the trees when another one unexpectedly fell and crushed him. It is then said that at dusk, you can see the shadow of this man lurking behind the trees. Others have felt a cold hand touching their arm as they walk the trail. Some even say that they have heard his cries for help. In our 3rd spot, we have the Ghost of Lowe's. Yes, Lowe's, as in Lowe's, the store that sells a bunch of home improvement stuff. Apparently, there's a ghost at one of the locations. According to one of the overnight workers, he has experienced a lot of paranormal activity at his location, which he never disclosed, so we never know which location is haunted, so just be careful. Well, legend goes that late at night, a spirit roams the store and causes havoc for the workers. The ghost tampers with the motion sensor lights, sets off product alarms, and is even said to push and trip workers. One worker claims that aisle 13 is the aisle with the most paranormal activity. Others have claimed to have heard whispers, seen shadows, and have felt like they were being watched. I mean, out of all the places, why did they choose to haunt Lowe's? Like, come on, I'd pick Costco. They got everything there. In our 2nd spot, we have the Blue Man. Legend goes that if you see this blue man, do not stop. Do not talk to him, for if you encounter him, then you will be controlled by him, and he will make you harm yourself and others. Story goes that one day a man was driving home when he saw this man standing at the side of the road. He was quite tall and was dressed in all blue. The man slowed down to see if he was okay or if he needed a ride home. When the blue man turned to face him, he saw that he had pure black eyes and a creepy wide grin. The man then drove off so fast, but when he got home, he wasn't the same. His eyes were now completely black, just like the blue man's. He ended up grabbing a hammer and hit his wife over the head multiple times. Then he ended up killing himself. So if you see a man dressed in all blue lurking at the side of an old highway, don't stop, don't make eye contact, just keep driving. And in our number 1 spot, we have the haunted Tinder profile. From 2019 to earlier this year, stories about a haunted Tinder profile have creeped out many of the app's users. Legend goes that a ghost of a boy named Dylan haunts the app. If you match with him, the consequences can be deadly. So according to legend, Dylan was considered a social outcast. One of the reasons being because he had a birthmark right below his left eye. He didn't have many friends and was often picked on at school. Now, Dylan was using Tinder for quite some time trying to find a girlfriend, but people at his school found his profile and then he was tormented even more. Eventually, it got so bad that he took his own life. But now it's said that his Tinder profile is still active. He is said to match with the girls that look just like his bullies. If you match with him, it is said that he will appear outside your window and haunt you until you two commit suicide. Of course, this is just a legend, but there are people out there that have downloaded Tinder just to try and find his profile and see if the legend is indeed true. And that's all for today's video. Let's move on to our comment shout-out portion. I'll be shouting out more comments for my video, Top 10 Scary Mickey Mouse Urban Legends. Dark Knight commented, "One time I put orange slices on my pizza. It tasted good. Only had that one time. Want to eat it again." Orange slices? Oh man, I don't know about that one. I'm not judging, but really? But hey, maybe, I can't judge until I try it, so maybe I got time, maybe I'll do that. Lauren Allen commented, "Lindsay, you look just like Shiva in the Final Fantasy VII Remake. You're so pretty." Well, thank you. I'll take it. Shiva's cool. Garrett Seg commented, "You know what? Maybe Mickey Mouse does all this because he just wants some cheese." Can you imagine, like, this whole time we're like, oh my gosh, Mickey Mouse is evil, he's possessed, and meanwhile he's just like, "Can I have some some cheese, please? I'll stop hurting people that just need to be fed. Maybe, you know what? I think you solved it. I think we just need to give him some cheese. And that's all the comments I'm showing up for today. Make sure to comment something down below for a chance to be featured in my next comment shout out. And as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to Most Amazing Top 10 for more amazing videos. I've been your host, Lindsay Ivan, and I'll see you when I see you.
Hello and welcome back to the most amazing channel on the internet. I'm your host Rebecca Felgate, and today we are talking about the top 10 scary ghost urban legends. Before we get into all things spook, I want to tell you about the video sponsor today, Massdrop. Now Massdrop are a site that partners with brands to make awesome products like these headphones. Massdrop have collaborated with AKG to bring to life these high quality headphones. You'll love them. They're perfect for gaming, live streaming, and watching spooky YouTube videos with jump scares. Obviously, don't just take our word for it, there are hundreds of glowing reviews online. Now the headphones are $49.99 on Massdrop, and they come in red, black, and blue. If you look in the description, we have a coupon code for $15 off, so that's cheaper than you'll find them anywhere else online. Okay, so back to the video. Now we know you love a good ghost story, and we know you love an urban legend, so we decided why not fuse the two together and bring you the top 10 scary ghost urban legends. Before we get started, do let me know what video you would like us to make next here on Most Amazing Top 10. Also, while you're down there, why don't you leave a thumbs up and share this video with a friend. If you guys want to connect with me on social media, there is a link to my Instagram in the description box. Coming in at number 10, we have Bloody Mary. Most of us will know the legend of Bloody Mary. She is a mirror-dwelling ghost that is said to appear when her name is chanted again and again as you stare into the reflection in the mirror. The origins of Bloody Mary go way back in old folklore, when ye olde women would invoke the ghost of Bloody Mary to show them a glimpse of their future husband's face. Things could go south if they saw a grim reaper or a skull in the mirror instead. It would mean that they would likely die before they got the chance to marry. In modern times, the legend goes that if you summon Bloody Mary, she appears as a witch-looking woman. If she is angry with you, she'll scratch out your eyes, steal your soul, drink your blood, all of the dark stuff. I'm sure you'll know loads of people who played Bloody Mary as a kid, and maybe they got freaked out and convinced themselves that they saw something, but honestly, I never heard of anyone actually getting their eyes scratched out. The mirror ghost is a popular urban legend across the world. In Japan, they have something very similar in the form of Hanako-san. Coming in at number 9, we have the Ghost Pushers of Gravity Hill. In almost every ghostly urban legend video I have done, especially those in the United States, there has been a phenomena of a car being pushed up a hill by some kind of otherworldly being. This story tends to involve a car accident in that very same spot and helpful ghosts who want to save you. One example of the legend will be, say, on a rail track. The legend will say that in this very spot 37 years ago, a bus filled with kids died when it got struck on the tracks. Now, if you park the car there these days and wait, your car will miraculously be pushed over the tracks by helpful tiny dead kid hands. Creepy. Too far? Other versions take place on hills where cars have rolled backwards and caused fatal accidents, only for ghosts to remain in that very same spot. There are legends like these literally all over the world. There's Confusion Hill in California, Magnetic Mountain in Canada, Moonbee in Australia, the Magic Route of France, Hangman's Hill in Essex, UK, so on and so forth. They're literally everywhere. Generally speaking, naysayers will claim that these so-called phenomenon are a trick of the light, like water appearing to run uphill. Coming into number 8, we have walking on gravestones. Have you ever felt a shiver unexpectedly? Well, folklore and urban legend have said that if this happens to you, someone has walked on your gravestone. This suggests that somewhere there's a future in which you're dead and buried, but somehow you feel it right now. The urban legend also suggests that we should never step on another person's grave for this very reason. We may send a shiver down someone's spine or anger their spirit, which may just follow us beyond their final resting place. Honestly, beyond that, it's just kind of disrespectful to step on someone's grave. Coming into number 7, we have the ghost train. A classic ghost train. I'm not talking about the fairground ride, although since Goosebumps there has also been a lot of haunted ride urban legends. When I say ghost train, I mean the ghost of an actual train thundering at breakneck speed only to disappear out of sight. Or perhaps strange headlights in the distance near an old abandoned track. Or a smell of a steam engine and a puff of smoke coming from nowhere. There are thousands tons of ghost train legends. The St. Louis Lights, Stockholm Silver Pylon, Abraham Lincoln's funeral train, and more. Okay, next up I will see your ghost train and raise you a scary ghost ship. Coming into number 6 we have the Flying Dutchman. The Flying Dutchman is the most famous of the ghost ship urban legends, and it dates back to the 1700s, a high time for seafaring. It refers to a doomed Dutch man-of-war ship. Tales of the Flying Dutchman are ingrained in seafaring lore, a lot like that of the Kraken. Many sailors have reported seeing a phantom boat emitting a bright light on a stormy night, and it is a bad omen for seafarers. It's become a very loathsome superstition. The Flying Dutchman has regularly been spotted, famously once by King George V of the UK. Some say that they've spotted the ship in the air, hence the name the Flying Dutchman. Explanations include mirages, looming refraction, and simply hallucinations from fatigued sailors. Ooh, I love number 5. We have a theatre ghost. There's always a blooming theatre ghost, isn't there? Old theatre buildings absolutely always come replete with a ghoul. Is it because of the high drama of the theatre? Does it leave an imprint on the building? Or is it because imaginations are high in theatrical settings? Usually urban legends of theatre ghosts go as such. The spirit of a former performer who either died on stage or in a brawl at stage door haunts the theatre for the rest of time. The ghost is seen by actors on stage as they look out to the audience, or they're felt by patrons who sit down, only to feel a sudden rush of cold air as they go by. I personally love a good theatre ghost story. There is the Phantom of the Opera, who isn't actually dead. The many ghosts of the Theatre Royal Drury Lane in London, one of the oldest theatres in the world. We've got the Wailing Woman of Wellington's St. James Theatre. Judy Garland is even said to haunt the Palace Theatre in New York. Theatre ghosts are always blamed for mischief too. Lights turning on and off, props flying about backstage, things going wrong on stage. Theatre ghosts are usually tricksters and agents of chaos. Honestly, I could stand here all day talking about theatre ghosts. Maybe we should do a top 10 scary theatre ghost stories list. I'd really like that. Coming into number 4 we have the Vanishing Hitchhiker. The Vanishing Hitchhiker is a classic ghost urban legend. In each of the stories, a driver picks up a person thumbing for a lift. They drive them a little way, something spooky and mysterious is said, and then the person in question vanishes. Often, they leave a little clue behind them as to who they might have been. The driver then does a bit of research and finds out that the passenger died along that very stretch of road X numbers of years ago, sometimes to that very day. Spooky. This is such a classic urban legend that most cities have a story like this. In Chicago, for example, they have the Vanishing Hitcher Resurrection Mary. You can hear more about her in our Chicago Urban Legends videos, one of my favorites I've done this year. In Japan, a similar phenomenon is reported with the alleged ghosts of tsunami victims. Cab drivers in Inshinomaki have reported ghost passengers. Do ghosts like cars, or are the Vanishing Hitchers stuff of legends? Coming into number 3, we have shadow people. Shadow people are popular ghost sightings, and we actually did a whole top 10 on this. Some people have described scary shadows as black mass ghosts, negative imprints left on the world from angry spirits. So many towns and villages across the entire world have reported shadow sightings, with some cultures and tribes believing they are demonic spirits. One of the most famous shadow people sightings include the Dark Watchers of Santa Lucia, dark featureless shadows wearing hats and carrying walking sticks that appear silent and watching in the distance of the Santa Lucia Mountains. Recently, a black cloud was spotted over a mall in Zambia that some people were claiming was a shadow ghost, or a dementor. Was a shadow ghost the contents of our number 2? We have the Ghost in a Jar. The Ghost in a Jar is one of my favourite ghostly urban legends ever. While there have been many stories of spirits being trapped in objects, the Ghost in a Jar story went viral and inspired imaginations across the world. The story goes in 2003, TJ 101 of Arkansas listed a jar containing, I quote, a black thing. The lister said they dug up the jar near a church in the 1980s, and since then they had been plagued by a black shadow. The jar is painted black and red on the inside and is also covered in strange symbols. If the jar is so creepy, why did it take the owner 20 years to get rid of it? I don't know, but the listing went viral anyway, and somehow the ghost in a jar sold for nearly $51,000 and since has been the stuff of legends. The legend was so widespread and popular, it even became a Rick and Morty character.
Thanks, Ghost in a Jar. You always were good at pointing out potentially obscure comedy.
I feel like the need for a 15-year update on this. Does someone have that ghost in a jar? How does this story end? I need more information. Finally, coming into number 1 of our top 10 scary ghost urban legends, we have the legend of the White Lady. My, if I had $1 for every White Lady ghost I had read about, well, I'd have enough dollars to buy a pretty convincing White Lady costume and go around spooking people and making them think that I myself am a ghost. Anyway, White Lady ghosts are popular ghost tropes and usually have some kind of tragic background of love and loss and searching associated with them. I guess the ghost being in white represents some kind of woeful purity and something unfulfilled. Many are depicted wearing wedding dresses. There are countless tales of White Lady ghosts across the world. In Canada, she is a war widow who threw herself over a waterfall in Quebec City when her lover never came home. In California in the United States, she haunts Calico Ghost Town, a place I actually visited last Christmas. In the Czech Republic, she's the spirit of a cursed wife who haunts a castle. In the UK, she also haunts a castle and has a bounty of hidden treasure. In Malta, she wanders a forest in her wedding dress, and in Germany, disturbing her will get you killed. In Asia, White Lady apparitions are usually much less romantic and far more malevolent and vengeful. So guys, what a spook fest! What is your favourite ghost urban legend? Let me know in the comments section down below. Also, don't forget to check out our video sponsor Massdrop, especially if you're interested in the AKG headphones. So do make sure you click the link in the description box to check that out. Just quickly, I want to round off with some comments from the cursed movies you should never watch. You guys love this video and this is what you had to say. Lucky FC said, I've seen a lot of movies so can't really say the scariest, but this made me want to watch these. Anyone else? Just me? Okay. Jennifer Campbell said, what about Poltergeist? Everyone died. You're so right, actually, I did read about that. It was a nightmare of a movie to work on, so I hear. Obsidian Titan 97 shared their scariest movie pick. They wrote, for me, it's Tremors. I was young and I didn't even want to get out of the chair that I was in while I was watching it. Ooh, yeah, I know I don't really like watching scary movies on my own. Do you guys watch scary movies on your own, or do you need a friend with you? Because I'm very much team friend. I actually kind of wish I had a friend whilst I was hosting these videos because they're pretty scary. I might get Daniel Landon with me next time. Okay guys, for now I'm gonna head on out of here. Please do leave a thumbs up on this video, share it with a friend, and stay subscribed for more most amazing lists. I'm Rebecca Felgate, and I'll see you next time.